Following the completion of Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS with the release of Bayonetta in early 2016, Super Smash Bros. As a series entered a very strange space compared to its predecessors. Unlike Smash 64, Melee, and Brawl before it, Smash 4 had post-launch content release in the form of the DLC fighters that generated more interest and buzz in the game even almost 2 years after its original release. So while granted, some folks might look at the difference in release years for both Smash 64, Melee, and Brawl, and then seeing the difference between Smash Wii U and Smash Ultimate, it might seem it's about the same amount of time. But there is a little bit of an asterisk given the release of the DLC. If you solely look at the initial launch dates, it was about 4 years between the release of Smash 4 and the release of Ultimate. But like I said earlier, the DLC made it feel like less time had passed. So when Nintendo announced a new Smash Bros. Game in the March 2018 Direct slated to release that same year, a lot of people couldn't believe that they were getting new Smash content that soon. So much so that people believed that this wasn't a brand new game, but in fact a port of Smash 4 bringing it to the Nintendo Switch, much like Mario Kart, Donkey Kong, and several other series before it. I personally never believed that it was going to be a port, especially once we saw that Breath of the Wild Link was going to be the main Link in this game. I was just excited to be getting a brand new Smash game. At the time though, I didn't own a Switch, so it was just very much in the sense of, oh, I can't wait to experience this brand new game with my friends. And just like everybody else on the internet and who was paying attention to this game, I started to speculate who was going to make the cut, who was going to be lost from the roster, and what newcomers were going to be added to try and hype up the game. Because up until this point, every single Smash game that was a sequel seemed to at least drop 1 or 2 fighters and then bring in a host of new ones. Think losing Snake in Smash 4 but gaining Mega Man. But of course we had no idea what Sakurai was actually planning for us to experience. I still remember the day that the full game and title got released. It was summer 2018 for E3, and at the time I had a job as a grounds crew member for a golf course. The Nintendo Direct for that E3 actually managed to start during my lunch break while I was on the job, so I watched a lot of the early presentation and reveal of certain games. But then as Smash Bros. Started to come along, my lunch break was over, and I was starting to get antsy because I was like, but Sakurai's about to reveal the roster! And since I was a grounds crew member, I couldn't exactly be standing at a certain post just waiting for something to happen and just watch the presentation off to the side. I actually had to go out and physically do grounds work. So, what I did, I made sure I knew what my job was, got in the cart, and kept the Direct playing in a cup holder on my cart. I would do little bits of the job here, peek back at my phone there, go back and forth. I will admit, I did spend more time looking at my phone when Sakurai was initially revealing the roster, but can you blame me? The fact that every single fighter from Smash history was coming back for this game was an absolute milestone for the entire Smash series and gaming in general. It didn't hit me as hard initially because since I was on a golf course, I had to watch out for other golfers, make sure I didn't accidentally drive my cart off into the side of a cliff or into a bunker, and I had to make sure I was still at least doing some work. So it didn't hit me that every single fighter was back for this game until I saw the giant mural that was revealed at the end of the presentation of the roster. But once that fact did become clear to me, I was excited. Every single fighter, holy moly, that was a feat and a half. And of course this meant that they were not going to be trying to surprise us with the reveals of legacy fighters. It wasn't like, oh look, Captain Falcon's back, oh look, Marth's back, oh look, Roy's back. This was a sign saying, every reveal we do from here on out is going to be a brand new character unique to Smash. Well, unique in terms of the fact that either they're brand new characters or they're echoes of characters that used to be their costumes, i.e. Daisy and Dark Samus. Regardless, this was still an exciting prospect, and Sakurai made sure to let the fans know that he was listening to them by finally adding the big boy Ridley. I will admit I'm not that big of a Metroid fan, so I wasn't clamoring for Ridley to join the battle. I recognized Ridley as a boss from Brawl, but I wasn't one of the many fans online saying, I want Ridley in Smash so bad. Like with Smash for Wii U and 3DS, I was still pining for Sora. But that doesn't mean that I was completely disappointed and just, oh my gosh, it's not my character like I was with Smash 4 this time. I was actually a bit more open to see who they would actually try to bring in for Smash Ultimate. Following the initial reveal of the game as well as Ridley, the next direct that they did specifically related to Smash Bros. Was a really good one. I'm not a big Castlevania guy, but I at least recognize it and know how much of a monumental impact this character was, being Simon Richter. I was not upset that they joined the game, I was just surprised that it took them this long to get here. That was a really cool addition. But the character that followed was one of the first characters I was actually really excited to see join the game. The big reveal for King K. Rool was one of the first moments in Smash Bros. Reveal history that I was actually really excited to see a character join the game. I probably would have said Shulk, but he got leaked, so that was kind of a bummer. But regardless, King K. Rool, another villain that fans have been clamoring for to join the battle for many, many years. And I actually grew up with the original Donkey Kong Country, so this was a character that I was like, I recognize him, I like him, I am happy he is here. And the fun thing was, I was actually able to focus on this direct for the full time. I was still doing my summer job at the golf course at the time, but that particular day it was raining something fierce, so we couldn't exactly go out into the storm and do anything to work on the course. So we had spent the morning sweeping up and cleaning the garages, but when that was done, it was still raining buckets. So while we were waiting for our bosses to finally get a hint that the rain wasn't letting up and to let us go home early, I pulled out my phone and started watching the direct. Simon and Richter had been leaked, so I wasn't as surprised when they joined, but their trailer was really cool. And then of course, nobody saw K. Rool coming, and the trailer for it was absolutely hilarious. If I remember right, Nintendo had announced that they were only revealing one character. So the fact that not only did we get one character but also an Echo, and now we were getting a second character, that was absolutely crazy. As soon as K. Rool was revealed, I knew I was going to have to add his amiibo figure to my collection. Between that direct and the Isabelle reveal, I actually finished up my summer of work at that golf course, and I returned to college for my final semester before graduation. This direct was special for two reasons, but not necessarily because Isabelle came to Smash. The first one was because it was my birthday, September 13th. The second one was because I had also gotten an early birthday present from my folks, my own Nintendo Switch. So now I was able to go into this being really excited, saying, yes, I have some of these games now and I will be getting some of these games as well. I can't wait to see what the future holds. And even though I wasn't as big an Animal Crossing fan as my dad is, I was still excited to see Isabelle come to Smash because it was just another fun character to join the roster. And then of course, with about 3 months until release, and then as we got closer to the last direct before the game launched, we had the infamous Grinch leak. The one where apparently an advertising company in France leaked the entire full completed banner of Smash Ultimate before the final characters were announced. This infamous leak included characters such as Ken from Street Fighter, Shadow the Hedgehog, Geno, Banjo and Kazooie, the Chorus Kids? Huh. To be perfectly honest, I almost forgot that the Chorus Kids were a part of this leak, but that was a big reason why I didn't believe this leak to be real when I first saw it. When I first saw that the Chorus Kids were a part of the leak, I was like, okay, who are they? And when I looked up who they were, that made me scratch my head even further. You might say like, oh, but what about Ice Climbers or Mr. Game & Watch? At least they have a core game built around them to build a move roster out of. The Chorus Kids are literally like a brief glimpse in 1 or 2 segments in a rhythm game. I will always say, I don't believe Waluigi will ever become a Smash Bros. Fighter because I don't think he has enough of a unique identity outside of just being in the sports games to be a full-fledged fighter. But at least he could pull stuff out of the sports games. The Chorus Kids, what could they do? Scream at an opponent? And even then, the final Smash Direct put those leaks to rest right quick with the reveal of Incineroar. And with that reveal, the entire roster was complete. Sakurai said the game was about ready to launch, he announced the release of upcoming DLC, and promised that the game was still going to meet its date of December 7th, 2018. Granted, the advertising team did have one more big surprise for the entire Smash fanbase before the official launch of the game, but that's a story for when we start talking about the DLC. For the time being, after the Game Awards were finished, I stayed up late till past midnight and started playing Ultimate the first chance I got. Like I mentioned in the previous video, I was about to graduate from college when Ultimate came out, so I didn't necessarily have all the time in the world to really sink my teeth into it. I had even already packed up my monitor so that I could move back down to Columbus a lot quicker, and just had to play mostly on handheld at first. But what I did play, I did the simple thing of trying to unlock every single fighter as quickly as possible. I was thankful that my dad did send me the home menu, close the game, and reopen it exploit, because holy moly, it would have taken forever to get every single fire by just playing the game non-stop. But thanks to that, I managed to unlock every single fighter within, I think, a day or two of when I initially got the game. I think I did have to put it down a few times because obviously finals were coming up, so I had to focus more on schoolwork, because I think I probably would have gotten thrown out a window if I flunked one of my classes on the literal last week because I was so focused on Smash Brothers. After all, other than Kingdom Hearts 3, this was one of my most anticipated games of the year, and the fact that it was such a hallmark and signaled the end of my college career was a big highlight for me. Even though I was probably about to go through the biggest change in my life to this point, I still had something that I could latch onto, that being Smash Brothers. Something that I've enjoyed for many years in many different shapes and forms. And now I'm going to adulthood and I've got a new version to experience. Even now, with rumors of the Nintendo Switch 2 growing louder and louder by the day, there's also potential of a brand new Smash Brothers to go along with it. But Smash Brothers wouldn't just leave my life and just simply be there in the background with the launch of the game as I entered adulthood. Oh no. With the advent and promise of DLC, I was going to have more to experience and enjoy in Smash Brothers as I truly began taking my first steps into adulthood. But that's a story for the next video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this discussion about my experience with Smash Brothers in its initial reveal and release of Ultimate. Next time we'll be talking about Wave 1 of the DLC. Please subscribe. Just to remind folks, if I hit 100 subscribers before December 7th of this year on the actual 5-year anniversary, I will do a 12-hour Smash Brothers stream leading into the Game Awards. And if somehow I manage to get over 1,000 subscribers before we hit that date, I will do a 24-hour stream of Smash Brothers before the Game Awards. So, if you want to try and see that happen, like, share, subscribe, let people know about this goofy little challenge I'm doing. I will see you next time. May your heart be your guiding key.